Hey, this video is to help you feel comfortable reading, making, interpreting frequency tables. So you've been using frequency tables for a long time even though you don't know it. Probably in 3rd or 4th grade, your teacher sent you home with a sheet like this. It says, what is your favorite pet? Cat, dog, or fish? And then you take it around your classroom and ask everybody their favorite pet. And you put tally marks next to the category here. That was a frequency table. And I know you do these because my kids bring them home all the time and ask me my favorite pet and how many slices of pizza I ate last week and stuff like this. So I'm guessing that you've done something like this. And it's really a frequency table and nothing less than a frequency table. So let's suppose that we ask 10 people. That's going to be our total. And maybe 2 people said cat, and 3 said dog, and 5 said fish. So what we do when we make a frequency table is just make this a little fancier than that worksheet back in 3rd grade. So we put our possible values here on the left, the possible answers, okay? And then we fill these in. Instead of using tally marks, we use just these standard numbers like this. We put the total down here. So this column is the count. In statistics, you'll see f of x. And this is just statistical language for count or the frequency of x. You don't have to panic if you see f of x. There's nothing magical to it. Statisticians just memorize that f of x means the count. So f of x, or the count in this column. Now what a frequency table does, if you look at one in a research report or something, you'll see a little bit of something like this. There's a little more to it than just this one column. And what's happening there is we're just giving people a little more useful information by doing some math for them. So what we usually do next is the percent, because people might want to know what percent fell within each category. So here we have cat, 2 divided by 10 is 20%. And that's all you have to do is take this number and divide by the total. So for dog, we take 3 and divide it by 10, and we get 30%. And for fish, we have 5 divided by 10, and that's going to be 50%. And that should add up to 100. This is your checkpoint to make sure that things are all entered correctly. It should add up to 100. So the next thing that we do is a cumulative percent. And that means we add up everything to a certain point. But it doesn't make sense to do here. For example, everything up to cat is 20%, and everything through dog is 50%. But it doesn't really make sense to say things like this because there's no order to these categories, cat, dog, or fish. So it doesn't really make sense to say everything cat through fish or cat through dog. So you want to use this cumulative column only when it makes sense to do so. So let's use a different example in GPA. So we'll use an ordinal variable this time. The last one was nominal. So this is an ordinal variable, low, medium, or high GPA. We're not using the number 4.0 or 3.5, but they're just ranking their GPA as low, medium, or high. And let's say we have these same numbers and we have 10 people. This is f of x, which is the count or the frequency. And now we have those same percentages. 2 divided by 10 is 20%. 3 divided by 10 is 30%. And 5 divided by 10 is 50%. That gives us 100, and this is our checkpoint. So now it makes sense to do a cumulative percent, because what it means is 20% of people had a low GPA. Everybody from low through medium account for 50% of the population. And then, of course, when you go through all the categories, that's going to be 100%. Low through high will account for 100% of people. So this cumulative percent is very useful for a lot of people, and they like to have it in a frequency table, because then you can write a report that says something like 50% of people had a medium GPA or lower. And we know that because this is cumulative, so it's from medium down to the very first category. So this is where you can grab some neat snippets of data out to use in your report. Finally, very last thing, I hope some of you are wondering, what about interval ratio level variables? Do not use a frequency table with interval ratio level variables. The reason is because you're just getting answers that are just sheer numbers. So let's go back to the GPA example. Someone's GPA is 1.23, someone's 1.24, 1.25, and you could have hundreds or even thousands of different answers. So if you have a frequency table, you'll have this huge long thing with just hundreds or thousands of categories and one or two people out to the side of each of these. So it ends up not being very useful. You can do it. It doesn't make any sense. People will not love you for doing this, and it won't be easy to get nice snippets of information out. I hope this helped, and I hope you enjoy the lesson module this week on frequency tables.